the regular library board of trustees meeting for August. We begin our meeting with public comment, and today we have one person signed up. So I would like to invite Cecil Kelly III of Coeur d'Alene to provide his public comment.
Yeah, if you're there, it'll pick you up. So at that point.
Actually, I thought that was just an attendance list, but
You don't have to speak.
I thought also, I just let you know, I'll be one of the candidates running for trustee, assuming I can get someone to actually write a letter of recommendation for me. As you know, I've been attending the Coeur d'Alene Library for the last 70 years. I'm a little bit long in the tooth. I know it. And I am active. I attend your music here for the last 5 years. I'm active in your groups that are writing or drawing and writing. I belong to the writers group here. I also attend the 3 of your inking groups. Anyway, that's about it. I just wanted to say hello. Tomorrow I'll hand in my petition over there and I hope somebody will actually say I'm a good guy.
Thank you. We will move on to the consent calendar, and I will entertain a motion regarding that.
I move we accept it as presented.
Second. We have a motion and second.
Is there a discussion?
Are there any are there any items that we care to discuss from this? I had a question on financial reports. So let me pull that up. Apologize for not having printed this out and circled it because, it was, I was curious what the OCLC expense, what is that?
That's an annual fee we pay. OCLC is kind of a library collective that does a lot of good for libraries all around the world, to be honest. It keeps a kind of a worldwide catalog of library items. And it's primarily what we use to do interlibrary loans. So when we're looking for books outside of our system, we can go to OCLC, search their catalog, find books right across the world. We tend to just try and keep it somewhat local. But if we need to find a book outside of our system, that's our first stop. And then we can place holds on books at other libraries, and it's up to them whether they want to fulfill it or not, but it's how we work that system.
I've used it, and my son has used it when he's here in the summer when he's researching a book.
And also,
Wonderful.
yeah, and being members, it has other benefits as well. A lot of cataloging support. So when we're adding items to our catalog, quite often we're borrowing from other libraries. And again, it's through OCLC that we get a lot of help with that.
When you say borrowing, you mean how they catalog it?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
sorry, copy cataloging, I call it. That's the.
So that's probably what Melissa does. Do you do that, Melissa?
Melissa does a lot of that.
Yes, we do that to a certain extent. Yeah, when we're ordering new materials, we're downloading the records for those titles and we are pulling those from OCLC. So it's a great resource.
Yeah.
Very important.
We just like to hear you talk a little bit. Because you're so chatty.
Yeah.
Thank you. Was there anything else from the meeting minutes or financial reports? Then let's take our vote. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar items, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent calendar passes as presented. And now, Michael, we'd love to hear your director's report.
It's pretty short this month, not to say things haven't been happening. It's been very busy over the summer. We're starting to wind down, but summer reading program's been very successful. A lot of reading logs have been going out, particularly in the children's section. It's been a good year, both in terms of that program and then all the other adjacent programming that's been occurring over the summer. We've had great attendance. Staff have been really busy. The library's been really busy. So that's kind of where we're at right now. But I think the things to highlight, the reading cabin, I've got there currently being installed in the children's library. It is installed. You can go and check it out after the meeting if you wish. And tomorrow is the day that we will be doing the ribbon cutting and unveiling it to the public. So we'll have a small, very informal ceremony. The main thing is to thank all of the businesses who have helped us out with this. And they've put in an enormous amount of time and effort, often at a discounted rate or even for free, to get this off the ground. So we really appreciate everything that they've done for us. And tomorrow, hopefully we can show that appreciation. The other thing, I've been telling you across a few meetings now that we did apply for the Idaho Commission for Libraries Facilities and Capital Improvement Grants. They had $3.5 million in federal funds. They opened up a application process for libraries to apply for up to $500,000 in facilities improvements. We put in, we put in for $390,000. There were a lot of different things packed into that, but generally speaking, trying to improve the teen spaces, some spaces out on the adult section of the library, and replace the HVAC system. Unfortunately, we missed out. They did receive $8.5 million in requests from libraries around Idaho. So certainly the demand was there. It was very competitive. And I know that a couple of libraries that got it tended to be more rural and was a massive benefit to them. Some of them have been able to expand the footprint of the entire library through the grant that they received. So it went to some good causes for sure. And I guess from now, the next steps from now is to work with the foundation. Some of the requests that we had in that application could be turned into an annual campaign with the foundation. So they start their annual campaign around November.
I should have it ready by then, yeah.
Yeah. So we might be pulling some of the things that were in that application and putting those into an annual campaign ask to the community.
Michael, would it be possible for you to write into the minutes the specific contributors to the children's cabin? So it's in our record?
Yeah, that's a good idea, certainly.
And thank you to all those contributors.
So, and I have a question, do you have a priority of those projects?
We're thinking some of the ideas that we've got floating around for the teen section would be a good follow-up to. So last year, the annual campaign was for the children's library. It's what got the cabin made and various other improvements. So we're thinking it could go section by section, if you like. So first it was the kids library. Now we're going to move on to the teen library. Maybe the next year we could focus on some of those things in the adult library. So kind of work it on a rotational basis.
And I have a question about the staff reports, Shar's report, 80 to 120 people.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh yeah, it's been really successful. What do they call it? Story and sunshine in the park.
Or sunshine stories.
Okay. So, yeah, they've been going to different parks around the city and also out to, so it's been Higgins Point once a month, and then it's been a different city park weekly on a Wednesday. Yeah. And so we were thinking, we'll try it, we'll see how it goes. Maybe nobody will show up, maybe somebody will. But yeah, every single park visit has had about 80 to 100 people show up.
Oh, wow.
And so part of it was that they could get a sticker showing that they've been to each one or something. some
Yeah.
endorsement of some sort.
Right, there was, yeah, kind of a competitive aspect, try and collect them all, get a sticker.
Kind of
to
like what
each
the national
servant.
parks do with that little.
Right, and that was kind of the theme too, playing on that.
I think it's cool.
So that's amazing.
It's great to see the library providing services beyond the library building.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Michael. Our next report would be the Friends of the Library report from you as well.
Yes, the Friends met yesterday, and what did we talk about? Just trying to think. There wasn't a ton on their agenda. They did skip their last meeting. They did skip July, so they're reconvening. And I think the main discussion point was, of course, they're a volunteer group. They provide a lot of extra benefits to the library, so it's probably time to restart the it was called the volunteer breakfast. So we used to do this prior to the pandemic. We used to set up in the community room, and it was a catered breakfast for all of our volunteers who have contributed throughout the year. So I really wanted to discuss that with them, getting this back on the calendar, and again, give thanks to this group and other groups that we have for what they do for us. So that was the main topic, just trying to pinpoint a date. I think we decided on October 7th, and which I believe is Saturday. And we will take it from here, start planning it out, and hopefully have a nice event for our volunteers.
And Holly, the Library Foundation report.
Yes, have fun things to report today. Susan and Ann finished their Mudgy and Millie books to where, and what's it? What was the,
The school was at Bora,
Bora.
but it's the School Plus that puts it on each year now.
so that's the final of the
That-
season. The
Well,
last,
it wasn't part of that rotation, it was an extra.
yes.
Yeah.
That's great, thank you again
Yeah.
for doing all that. It's
Sure.
be me instead of you, I'm afraid, so I appreciate all your efforts. Just want to remind you of the William Kent Kruger event that we're having September 14th. According to Well Read Moose, it's a very favorite author of the community, so the tickets are starting to sell, which is good, because usually they procrastinate until like the week before, so things are going well with that, so I hope as many as you can attend.
What's the price for that?
25. Yeah, and there's no host bar. We will have some cookies and different assortment of nuts, I think, and then Baker by the Lake will be serving the beer and wine and whatever. So we left it at a pretty inexpensive price, just to have a good crowd and hope that works well. Let's see. The most fun was United Way opened up a grant. So I wrote a letter of interest to pay for the display posts that we have out in the Story Walk. That was gonna end up to be about $4,700. So letter of interest was for 5,000. And it wasn't 2 days after I wrote the letter, they sent me an email, said, yeah, you can have $5,000 and we're gonna give you 10,000 more for the Ready for Kindergarten program. So I didn't have to write the grant. I didn't have to do anything other than did this little letter of interest. Didn't even talk about, they had given us money for Ready for Kindergarten last year.
Is that what Deschard?
Elsie Sharps, yeah. So that was
a nice surprise for her.
Yeah, it was. So it's a fun day. All I had to do is sign my name for the different things. And easiest grant I've ever written. So that was fun. I'm also writing a grant for your Page Turner Book Club. They are requiring a match of $1,000, so I'm asking for a grant for $1,000, and then the foundation is matching that, so. But I won't hear from, close to the end of the year before we hear from that one. We're having our first novel destination presentation since COVID, with David Kilmer. He's the guy that is the pilot of Sizzler on Portland Lake that was part of Megadon's stuff. And this one it was the race to Alaska. They leave for Port Townsend and then go up to Alaska without the sailboats can't have any motorized engines or anything. It's just the wind and their abilities. So he's coming and making a presentation in October the 2nd. Will you be here? Oh. It'll be a really good presentation. I don't know if you guys remember him from when we were in the pavilion with all the other authors. He spoke about. Great. He's a presenter. Yeah, so that should be exciting. And hopefully we can get back to doing novel destinations as we do that 4 or 5 times a year. And then there's COVID hit and we haven't had one since. I think this will be a good one to start it up again. So I'll remind you of that as the months progress. That's all I have.
Thank you, Holly. There's no unfinished business on our agenda, so we will move to new business, and we have an action item with the long-range plan update. So I will entertain a motion regarding that.
We accept it.
I'll check that. Thank you. So Michael, will you speak to it a bit here?
Yes, this is the long-range plan, as you know it, that we've had for many years now, but repackaged a little bit. So reformatted, condensed. The long-range plan, as we were going through it, we realized it was fairly repetitive a little bit. So we tried to condense it as much as we could. And when I say we, I say mainly Mandy Harris, our former children's librarian. She's doing her doctorate program through the University of Washington. She had one course where she could dedicate her time to a nonprofit, so her time and skills, and then write a report about that. So it worked out well for her. She picked us, and then this reworking of the strategic plan became the report for her class that she could submit. And of course, in the process, helped us out in terms of, I've often thought, well, yeah, maybe it's time to really look at the strategic plan, long-term plan, examine it, rework it maybe a little bit. So it worked out pretty well for us. So in the first section overview, it just goes through how this came to be. So originally it was a long-range plan. This is an update of that. And then going into a little bit of detail about Mandy's role in constructing this and the new presentation, the new format of the strategic plan. The first thing I've got for you is a mission statement as we had in the long range plan. This is just for consideration. So the current mission statement has the Coeur d'Alene Public Library is committed to excellence in library services, dedicated to lifelong learning. The library provides free and equal access to a full range of historical, intellectual, and cultural resources, which is all true. I mean, it's still a good mission statement. However, we have had it for quite some time, not sure how long, but certainly quite some time. And it is a little wordy, perhaps. So we were kind of kicking around, well, is it time to update that as well? Just a suggestion. And the possible update that we came up with, and Melissa was probably constructed this the most, Coeur d'Alene Public Library aims to be the heart of an informed, engaged, and diverse community by providing a free space to learn, create, and share for all. So it kind of hits on the role of libraries in that, I mean, yes, we have all the literacy resources, but there's a whole lot more to libraries these days between the programming, the community space. We wanted to try and incorporate a lot of that in a more condensed way into the mission statement. And then coming down to the new categories, so they're in alphabetical order, they're not in order of any preference. So we've got, first of all, accessibility, diversity, equity, inclusion. So we just want to say that the library is a welcoming, inclusive, accessible space, which of course the long range plan also said, that meets the needs of a diverse and changing community. And so this is the broad goal. And then under that goal are the strategies that we want to implement. And these will change over time, of course, but we have several strategies under each category. And I won't go through them in detail, as I know you've already read them. So I'll go through the broad strokes. The next one down is materials. So maintain, grow, and establish relevant collections of books and materials in a variety of forms. Something we've always had, always doing. Next one down is promotion, which is becoming a key thing for us. There's so much going on in the community. We really need to present ourselves and show what we're doing. So that's become a really key component of library services now. So the statement there is engage new and broader audiences in library awareness and usage. Then we come down to readiness. This is a little bit of a new one. Mandy thought it was a good addition, given we've just come out of a pandemic. We've just experienced a whole bunch of wildfires in the area. How does the library address that? How can the library pivot? So support community resilience. Is that right? Yeah, resilience. Did I spell that right? I guess I did. By fostering community preparedness, anticipate, plan for, and adapt to sudden changes, catastrophes, and evolving circumstances to provide resources, shelter, and information to the public. So I will go into this one a little bit more since it is kind of a new thing. So identify resources to monitor, such as we give several monitoring resources that we can use there. Prepare to have backup spaces for programs, especially outdoor programs during fire season. We just went through this with CorderCon on Saturday. We were originally going to be outside. We did pivot and brought everything inside. So it's just thinking ahead on what's the worst that could happen? How can we try and accommodate that? Create mitigation strategies for poor air quality days. So that was one of those, in fact. Add tools and technologies to the Library of Things that assist in preparedness. The Library of Things is a new collection that has a whole bunch of different non-traditional items in it, a lot of techie items. So these are things we can consider moving forward, things that assist with that, and adding those to the collection. Procure brochures, guides, and e-resources for community members dealing with natural and unnatural hazards or events. And then continue to partner with Kootenai County and have the library facility serve as a community shelter in the event of extreme weather and a joint information center during emergencies. So this is something, maybe you know, maybe you don't. We do have a formal partnership with the county to use the library in the event of an emergency. And it's labeled as a joint information center, but it could be used for multiple purposes. But if a natural disaster was to occur in the community, the library will become a space for action to deal with that. And then the county always lists us as when there's extreme heat, we are listed as a shelter, and extreme cold, assuming we're still open, we're also listed as a shelter for that, for the community. Okay, services programs. Again, another huge part of what we do now, provide responsive, relevant services and programming that informs, enriches, and meets the needs of diverse audiences within the community. Spaces, evaluate, maintain, and maximize the library's physical spaces to meet the needs of patrons and staff while allowing for safe, equitable, engaging access to materials and programs. And that's a big part of what we're doing at the moment. Children's library we're updating. As well as to update the theme library. There's other things we need to look at moving forward. So it's just a continual evolving task for us. We have staffing section dedicated to that. Retain current library staff and increase the number of staff to better serve patrons. while providing fair compensation and a positive work environment. And then lastly, technology. So mindfully use technology and digital resources to meet community needs while anticipating and adapting to technological advancements and changes. So as I said, a lot of these have been reused from the long range plan, just reorganized and a few new additions here and there.
A sort of sidebar, but not to be addressed probably right now, but maybe at another time you could give us information. Our number of staff and our kinds of staff, how has it increased as the population has increased?
Well, we have this idea and it's a little, we're thinking best case scenario here, but as the population of Coeur d'Alene grows, this is the third point down under the strategies for staffing. As the population of Coeur d'Alene grows, increase the number of library staff positions to the standard of 0.5 staff FTE, so 20 hours a week for every 1,000 residents. We're not quite there. We're in the ballpark, but yeah, I think we're about 2 or 3 full-time staff short of that.
And that should be in our minutes.
So I have some questions and comments for me.
Yes.
I like the way it's been put together. But I think in order to make it an effective strategic plan, we need to, I would hope that you, Michael, would assign a staff member to be responsible for each of the bulleted strategies under each of the mission statements. So we can have somebody actively working towards successfully adopting the strategies and getting to where we want to do. And of course, maybe as an incentive to the employees who are assigned to this, and I know they don't have much time because I know they're all busy. But a report, an annual report at least on progress being made to achieve each of the strategies that's listed. Because otherwise it's just a paper document that doesn't do anything. But if we have someone responsible, at least in part for each of the strategies, and then we have a report each year, that gives us a way to track our progress as to where we're going.
Yeah.
That would be my suggestion.
Something that we've done in the past is broken down our reports, so we only do part every month. So one section might be January 1, February 1, March, so that the staff person that would make that report on the strategy or the group of strategies, however you decide to divvy it up, if you decided to do that, we wouldn't be getting all those reports, those paper documents for one meeting, but we'd get by category. Technology would be one time and each, I mean, so that we can absorb it better and maybe even have discussion about what's happening.
Well, would it help? I'm just thinking it through. I mean, a lot of these is going to be multiple staff working
Right.
on, so it's not necessarily going to be.
Some will be smaller.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So, but maybe it's better if, maybe we make it that what month we in? August is when you review the strategic plan, but maybe in July, maybe we have kind of a progress update.
Except we don't usually meet in July.
Sure.
So
Whatever
whatever.
meeting that happens.
I'm
to
just
be.
saying. I mean,
Maybe
that doesn't
yeah.
have to be in the future. We can meet every month if we need to. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's Coeur d'Alene crazy time.
Or maybe what you could do, maybe this meeting in August is when you get your progress report, and in September, by the end of the fiscal year, leading into the new fiscal year, you're looking at this document, making any adjustments or updates.
And if we needed to, we could even do a September workshop or something
Yeah.
to do it if it was going to take more time.
Except that the budget doesn't gets presented, what, in May or June?
Yeah.
Yeah, we usually get it done by.
So it'd be
April.
nice if we would have some progress report in May, so we could say, well, to the city council, we've made this progress on our strategic goals, but we need
Okay.
this much money to move forward.
So maybe.
I don't know, I'm just throwing out ideas here.
Yeah, like a six
That would
month,
be April.
Well, is April
Yeah.
when you do your first draft of the budget though?
yeah, usually.
So maybe March. Well,
That's
this is
okay.
just brainstorming here. We're just
That's 6
brainstorming.
months, March is 6 months.
Yeah.
Let's not turn it into a lot of work though. The work needs to be on
No.
getting it done,
Yeah.
not on making a report.
No,
Right,
And you assign a person to make a report and then it turns into, you have to do a dog and pony show.
right, and it wouldn't have to be that, just some, half-page update or
and we
couple
don't,
paragraph update on.
I mean, the staff are sending you monthly, I mean, it's not compulsory, but most of them do send a monthly update. Maybe it's an opportunity to fine tune those a little bit more and be more focused on, okay, you don't have to put, your day-to-day stuff, like let's focus on the goals for the library. What have you been doing to contribute towards the strategic plan?
I'm glad you brought that up because it just seems to me when I read the staff reports that a lot more time is going into putting some of this together than
Yeah.
maybe they should be spending. I almost feel like it's gotten out of hand. Like it's a big report they're writing, and I just want to say, no, don't do this.
Yeah, we could put.
In some cases. Less, I don't know how you feel about it. Less can be more, because I think when it started out in the beginning, it was supposed to be, what's different in your area this more than justify your job. And I don't mean to be harsh. I don't mean to criticize those reports, but sometimes I think, gosh. Am I speaking true?
I've sort of maybe said that, maybe like a shorter narrative would be good.
Yes, the
rather than
narrative.
Like every single thing we did.
Well, and of course, some people like the bullets, maybe that's faster, but, gotta be, there's kind of you can do bullets that are confusing, or you can do bullets that tell a story. So I like the idea of a narrative personally, but, I wouldn't want to force it into someone, I don't know, but I don't know how the rest of you feel, I just feel like they're way,
Well,
they're
they're
so
they're
long.
like 18 and 20 pages these days.
Yeah.
No, I agree with
I
you.
like the idea of focusing what's the biggest difference, different and newly highlighted things in that category that month for that staff member. And I mean, it's really interesting. I always feel like I need to take my B12 though by the time I get to the end of it, because I think, man, these people are working so hard, I'm just exhausted for me.
No, this is good. This is good direction
Yeah.
that we need to, be working towards
Yeah,
this, which is our
Yes.
overarching plan.
yeah.
Yes. Leave your energy for this and to focus on.
Right. I totally agree.
Let me ask a question about long range plan. The old English teacher here used to try to say, when you read this document, who's your audience? And what's your purpose? And who is the audience that you're writing for when you write a long range plan? Because the audience determines not the content, it doesn't matter who you're writing for, your content will probably be the same, but it determines the language you use, the allusions you use, and things like that. So who's the audience for this?
Well, that's where it gets tricky. It's kind of for everybody. It's for you, it's for staff, it's for the public. So trying to encompass all of that in one document's a little tricky,
It
but
is tricky.
if you got some tips, I'd be open to listening.
I just looked at some places and I thought, okay, if I remember the public and I were reading that, would I get it?
Yeah, and if we're a bit jargony, that's something we should probably work on.
But, the professional staff is the one that's gonna live with this, so they the jargon word. And I didn't think it was bad on jargon, but
Okay.
there were some places where it's new language that's maybe not being used outside of your world. And, so I had some questions about language, I guess. I want to know exactly what you mean by, or not exactly. Just need to kind of know what you mean by. I'm sorry, I thought I had all the.
What's the kind of stuff, English teacher?
Sorry, digital branch.
Oh, I see.
Can you expand digital branch for me?
Okay, so the benefits of a library website is that patrons, users have 24-hour access, 7 days a week to it, whereas the physical library branch, obviously, not so much. So it should be packaged with that in mind. It should have all the information they need about the library. That it should be a landing spot for when they're looking for resources, so whether it be materials or online resources. And it should be a gateway to our digital collections, which truly are 24/7. I'm thinking of Overdrive Libby. So it should really point people to where they need to go to get what they need. So I'm not describing it very well, but you get the concept, right? It's always available, whereas the library isn't necessarily always available. So how do we package it to encompass that?
And I think designing a website for a library is really hard as a user.
Yeah.
I find so much trouble finding what I want.
I know,
On a library website. And that's it's a criticism of my brain and how it works more than anything else, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
You're bringing up a really important point for people with white hair.
We're not ageist.
No, but I'll speak for myself. I would like a little booklet
on how to use the
on
website.
how to use all these digital services, because sometimes I get lost when I'm trying to go down a path to get somewhere, and I feel like I've gone down a rabbit hole. And I would just feel, it lowers my anxiety when I can just, oh, if I want to use Libby, I do this and this and this and this. And if I want to use something else, I do this and this and this and this. I want to get a book online,
Yeah.
a digital book, I do this and this and this. I would feel more at peace, and it would be cheap because we could do it in-house. We wouldn't have to send it out somewhere. It would just be.
But that's where the website comes in. If all that
But you're-
information was
but-
there.
But we were not born on a computer, Michael. And
Where
so,
could that be?
well, if people came in and they're saying that, I don't know how to do this, we could say, well, you can sign up for a tech person to sit down with you, and we'd love to do that. Or maybe this little booklet would help you. And maybe after you look at the booklet, maybe then you'd want to sign up for a digital meeting with one of our staff people to help you with whatever. But I would like the paper thing, because I still, when I buy something online and when I get it and it doesn't have any directions on how to use it or fix it or whatever, and I have to go online to do it, I print it out and put it in my file.
Assuming you even find it. Right?
And the reason I do that is because they change. Everything changes and the
That's-
source is different.
that's-
It doesn't match.
With
That's-
spending them.
Yeah,
the
that's
thingamajig that you just
yeah.
buy,
that's the problem for us too, because I mean, things are changing all the time.
right?
I
So
mean-
it could be just a few copies that you print at a time.
Yeah, we
and
tend to
then-
do that,
and
okay.
and it says right on it, effective for through this date. And I'm not saying you should print up 50 copies. I'm just saying it would be there and somewhere at their desk.
Literally would change the next day.
Well, there's a
Well,
good
of
time
course
to
it would.
plug. We are putting together some classes for.
Yes, I saw
using
that. I was very happy.
Our
to
digital
see that.
resources.
I have this for them.
Yeah.
So we're working on that.
Well, maybe this is not a good idea from the white-haired lady at this table, but
Well, no, it's.
I do think we need to do something, because it's embarrassing can
I think we have.
not know when my grandchildren can figure things out like that. And I used to write code. I mean, seriously, I feel really,
The other thing we've been doing quite consciously is really assessing all of these digital resources and deciding, okay, do we really need this resource that costs us a lot of money, isn't getting a lot of use, is sort of muddying the waters, making it confusing for patrons. I think less is more very much for
that's
the
almost,
digital offering and particularly focusing on what's successful. And we know that Overdrive and Libby is successful. We know that our newspaper, News Bank is successful. And surprisingly, what is it? Value Line, which is a stocks analyzing resource. It gets a lot of use too.
Known quantity.
So we have a small package of things that we know people want and are comfortable using. And so that's what we really need to promote and, just make it a little more simple for average users.
Yeah, so with the idea of it being a digital branch, the idea is that you could visit that website and figure out how to use it from there, rather than feeling that, like, if it's after library hours, you don't need to
Yeah.
call, you don't
Yeah.
need to come down, that everything's clear enough that
Right.
somebody.
So
could-
being that gateway
Right.
to where people need to get.
So if that were so, would I go to the website and it would be that immediately? And I would have trouble finding out how I get to my book club or what the children's programs are, or.
Yeah, it would, I mean, not diving too deep, well, that's a whole other topic, but our website, yeah, we need to really look at from a user perspective, like, what do you need right there on the homepage? What's the easiest way to present it and get you there the quickest?
and maybe that's exactly where my little booklet should be, because then when it need to be changed, it would be changed that fast and it would be done. A little how to
Yeah.
for
yeah.
different things, and could be cute, like a little book that opened for different subjects, but then it would be easy for someone to go in and make an update the day that it needed to be different and was done. Just a few minutes of time. No paper.
Right. Again, that's what the website could do.
Right.
So I have one more question to follow up on what Faye was saying about jargon under the accessibility, diversity, equity and inclusion topic. Under strategies, it talks about purchasing materials and resources that support. It's what Rudine Sims Bishop calls mirrors, windows and sliding glass doors. I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I Googled it, I'll tell you.
I
So
have
I-
that down too.
Okay.
I mean, I knew what the mirror and window was, but not the sliding glass door. So it's a great quote and it's an allusion to a great idea of what literature does for children.
Yeah, I did hum and har about that because it is a little obscure, a little specific to library, probably employees only. But I didn't know how else to say that, and I thought that any way I presented it wouldn't be as good as how it's phrased here, but I'm open to ideas.
Needs in a positive. That explains somehow what it is.
But yeah, that's something I can work on.
So I mean, I get the concept of, library resources or books in general can be a mirror or it can be a window, but I'm not sure about sliding glass doors.
Yeah, this is what I saw, and we'll see, okay, and how close I came to it. That my understanding was that mirror is you see yourself. That if I'm a child that's an immigrant here, I might like reading a book that shows me immigrants dealing with life in America. A window, I can see through that window into something I haven't experienced.
Sure.
Through that window, right? And the sliding glass door, I get so involved in it, I walk through and into that and empathize and experience it. Right.
Experience, yeah.
Okay,
That's the concept. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
once
nothing.
once explained, it's nice, but when you read it first off, it's like, I'm a Steve, I don't know what you're talking about.
and so question of audience, and anyone who's working in libraries today would know what that means.
I think a lot of us, yeah.
And if they were on a step down.
So that goes back to Faye's question about who is the audience.
That's right. I mean, I can rework that to be more focused on the meaning rather than the actual quote. If that helps.
Yeah, I think that would be more effective. Just
Yeah.
to general reader of this document. In, I like the quote now that it's explained, so maybe you can do both.
Yeah, an asterisk or something and an explanation.
See, and we,
Footnote explanation.
and we need to talk about the mission statement because right now there's a current and possible update there. So we wouldn't want to approve this plan or with the current and possible update both written there.
I
So,
like the update. It's so visiony kind of as opposed to the.
So maybe we should table it till the next meeting.
Yeah, you can certainly do that. Again, it's an action item, but it's, if you want to kick it to the next meeting,
Okay.
it's fine.
and with the mission statement, I do like that it's shorter and more direct, but I wonder about where the other mentioned resources. I don't know. I feel like the fact that the library has a variety of resources. It has the books, but it also has the programming. It has the music performances,
The library of things.
and I don't know if we get the importance of that in it being a free space to learn, create, and share for
Or
all.
maybe that's, maybe it's by providing a free space and resources, or either one, resources and or free space. I mean,
Yeah.
well, I guess it's all free, so free resources and space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could
That would be it.
workshop that.
Okay, and
Do it.
And I would like to see with the resources, something about range or varied resources. Just because, I know there has been some talk in the community, with the community library network about the library is a place for books and resources to check out. More so than, I want to make sure that we're talking about varied resources, including our programming.
Sorry, less doers. Different resources that you can step through.
I have a question about the last bullet under accessibility, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I do not understand, I understand the last part of that, but I don't understand the library as having to recognize and support the sovereignty of the Coeur d'Alene tribe. I can see us saying we want to improve our relationship with them or something like that. Can you speak to that?
Well, I'm relying on Mandy's background and experience here. I could be wrong, but I believe it is in recognizing the tribe's role and their own independence, that they function as their own entity. That is sovereignty. Recognizing their sovereignty is important to them, and them making them feel like you can have a connection and start a relationship. Just recognizing their standing in the community, and then
I agree.
building upon that as a way into a relationship.
I think, when we broke ground for this library, tribal members came to the groundbreaking and talked about how this was their gathering place. This place was their gathering place. It was eventually taken away from them. But I think that's more important to recognize and support the sovereignty because we are actually on their historical gathering place.
Yeah, I think that's it in a nutshell. Yeah,
We call it the Lodge of the Storytellers.
That's right.
and I know from my own dealing with native populations, I mean, it very much respect is respecting them. And then in their culture, their customs, and very much deferring to them on how to proceed. It's on them.
And they are part of the county. I'm just differentiating, that we work with partnerships and they are all within probably the city. But I guess we do work with county, I guess, to separate them out as a different kind of partnership within the county. Because that's also speaks to the county library system then too. I mean, it could.
Well, they've been very supportive of this library.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, no, I don't say they haven't been. I'm just
Do it.
differentiating that they're in the county and that doesn't change anything.
No, because the property of the tribe actually goes into Benoit County a little bit, doesn't it, Steve? Don't they?
I'm sure.
I think
I believe so.
I think it's, well, you would probably know better because of your property in that, in the lake. So it's not just one county that,
Right.
Well, I'm pretty sure Tensed, where the tribal school is actually in Benoit. County.
yes.
It is.
So,
I think it's a good idea of inclusion. So, and you're right, they have been supportive of our library, probably more than any other library.
Didn't they contribute to the cabin and the children's room?
No.
Unfortunately not, but yeah,
I thought I
that's
saw something to-
contributed before.
Not that I'm aware
I see it. Oh, doesn't matter. Regardless.
right, so.
Melissa just brought up a good point. One of the reasons why we decided to include, I mean, we kind of roped in accessibility into this because it's in the ballpark, but quite often on grant applications now, and Holly can probably speak to this as well, they do want to see some kind of statement from your organization about diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay.
Having a statement that relates to that is beneficial moving forward. Just, I mean, one, because it's good guidance, and two, it does help with grant applications and finding broader support for what we do.
That, I guess, answers what was gonna be one of my questions, which for libraries, what did you have in mind is the difference between diversity and equity, but I kind of see where you're going. Yes. Is there a particular strategy here that is addressed to equity, or is there a particular?
It's kind of become a term, DEI.
Yeah, I get it.
It kind of interlinks. I mean, you can look at it a number of different ways, but they all are aiming towards the same result.
It will draw lightning strikes. I'm surprised we didn't have someone in the audience today. But that's okay. That's okay.
There was just one thing that's much less heady than that is bullet number 3. If to keep it grammatically the same as the others, take out library staff, just say seek out tools. And that way it would be establish, use, seek, purchase, and recognize. It would all be the same grammatical sentence.
Yeah.
I have a question about the very last one, technology. This is going against what Kate said, so maybe it's just the way it should be here. The last bullet, under technology says provide technology support and training for seniors in the form of programs and one-on-one appointments. I don't, I think we need to target just seniors with that.
I was thinking, I mean, to be honest, we give that training to just about everybody.
Yeah, there are people going back in the workforce who need that kind of training.
So
too.
just take out the phrase for seniors.
Yes,
Just,
for patrons, if you need to know. Just leave it, actually, the whole preposition.
I had that in my notes also.
maybe that as needed, because then you have a group and then you develop your little support plan for whoever at that particular time is saying they need it. Maybe it's homeschooler group that needs it. Maybe it's some seniors, but it's gonna vary. And yet we want to do all those things for whoever needs it.
I wonder if we were just trying to differentiate between, so the second bullet point, provide technology, access and training to help bridge the digital divide and meet the identified needs of the community.
Then you don't need the last one, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah, I guess they are saying the same thing, and I guess the focus on seniors was to differentiate it or state that as an actual.
Because it's a need.
Yeah,
yeah. We need different classes for seniors, just say it.
no, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I mean, should I work on combining those and packaging them together since they pretty much say the same thing?
I don't know that we need the last one if you
Right.
take out for seniors, then it's kind of redundant.
Okay.
Not kind of, I guess it is.
And as a senior who's used those appointments, I love them. They're very helpful. Now, I sat down and tried to find the old long-range plan and just couldn't get my hand on anything that had a date on it. So I thought we're not working for the wrong one. My records were not as organized as they should be.
Just be sure the dates on this one. Everything we publish everywhere has to have a date on it.
What I found,
No, when it's revised.
what I found was a draft that I'd written all over, but I think it was from 2022. But I was looking for what might be missing. I didn't do, and I don't claim to have done a great search, but I saw a phrase that was missing, and then I think I've seen it again, so I probably should have crossed this one off. But first I thought customer service was kind of big when we were talking about it before, and I wasn't seeing where that was in this, and so maybe it's in here. And then I think I saw the term, maybe I didn't toss it off my notes, is it in here?
I mean, it's something we could integrate. So much of what we do is just customer service based now. A lot of the people who we employ have customer service background. It's kind of just part and parcel of what we do.
Take it.
So I don't know if it needs special emphasis, although, I mean, maybe it does.
The other thing I didn't see, and this may reflect the mood of staff and the country at that time, but there was more of an emphasis on safe and secure. I'm not seeing anything about safe and secure. And I know we had employees that after some of the shootings in libraries were just really very nervous, and I don't know that the country has really gotten over that. So and we don't need to mention something if it's not a concern.
Well, it would be, honestly, yeah, and the ideal place would be readiness,
Okay.
right, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I was thinking
Yeah.
place, readiness sounds even better. And
And what was that, safety and,
well,
Very good.
one place it was make libraries safe and secure or welcoming and safe.
I mean, we try our best to do that, but you can't, I mean,
Well, it's a goal.
yeah,
It's
true,
not, nothing that the library does is perfect.
yeah.
It's a goal.
And if we use this document to make sure we're checking ourselves,
Mhm.
maybe it's a reminder. I don't know, I wouldn't I would force it.
Well, the
not
other
a big
thing-
deal, But I know it was a concern one.
it brings up, we actually did a little workshop
Yeah, we did.
with the police department on safety and security in the library and how we can, how can staff feel more comfortable that they're safe and that the patrons are safe. And they gave us some suggestions about things that we could do and how we would do it and knowing where the safe places are to go. If, for example, if there's a person with a gun in the library, do you have a plan of where staff should go to hide? Because that all has to be, and we did that in a workshop. It was a very, very good workshop.
Stephen fellow, was he a librarian from Eastern? Or WSU? can't
Maybe,
remember.
I can't-
Someone-
Melissa remembers
Sure,
her
it's from
too.
Eastern,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was good. And we
It's
have a
just
lot of
strange.
new staff
Raises
since then
level
too.
of
Yeah.
concern. So I don't.
We did have, it was a staff meeting maybe about a year ago. We had a sergeant come in from PD to give us an active shooter or active attack
Okay.
presentation, and he did do a walk through the building, and we did identify some things that we could do. We put a number of locks on doors that formerly didn't have them. We've and just different tools that potentially could come in useful in the event of one of those attacks. But it is time probably to do that again and have a refresher on it. I am at the moment updating. We have an emergency manual, and that's become a section within it. So I will be going over that with staff.
So is there
End of the month.
specific instructions
We
out
do,
there for
we have
people working
instructions.
in the children's department? Where's the safest place for kids in the children's
It's
department?
not that in depth, but maybe it's something we need to,
The children's department staff needs to know.
I mean,
Where's the
the
safest?
basis, there is no safe place.
Well, the craft room or the craft supply room
Sure,
are
but I mean,
because there's no window. You want to be where there's no windows. if you
right,
can.
and that is stated. in
Okay.
the guide.
But we're talking about this. This is just all really important stuff.
Mm.
But I think you're right. Safe and secure is something that should never go away. Especially today.
And Faye inspired me to look back at the last time we looked at the long-range plan. And the old long-range plan had both a mission statement and a vision statement of what. And I think a vision statement of what we'd like the library to progress towards is a wonderful thing to have. I don't think it's necessary to approve this current plan, but it's something I would like to see in a future plan, is to have that vision of where we're going from.
Yeah,
The
so my
mission is where we are today and the vision.
I see, yeah, because to me, they were very similar.
Right. Oh, and they were.
Yeah, and so I thought, well, let's just have one and not the other, but if we can differentiate a little better between the mission statement and the vision.
Right.
And that gives me some guidance. Mission is where we are now, vision is where we would like to go.
Right, and I mean, that is something that could take quite some time to develop, so I don't feel it's a necessity in approving this year's plan, but next time, something that I would like to see personally. So, we brought up a lot of things, with the plan. I would entertain a motion to, table its consideration until next month, so there's time to make revisions. Is there a second?
I second it.
So all those in favor of tabling consideration of the long range plan or the strategic plan till next month? Say aye.
Bye.
Do I have to,
We are tabling the consideration of the long range plan update until next month.
do I have to withdraw my motion?
No, by tabling it.
Because by tabling, that's what I thought, but I wanted to be sure. I was doing the right thing.
You know, I was thinking today, what the most important problem is that, someone is gonna serve 42 years in the future in this library board would be facing, and the most important, the biggest thing that's out there in the long, long run is and what we're gonna do about, is it not whether we're going to have one library that serves the whole community, or we're going to branch, and that's all.
It's such a,
I don't want to
Tricky
put it in that,
thing.
so tricky, but isn't
Yeah.
that one of the biggest decisions, certainly the most expensive decision that you're gonna face? in
it's true, but is there any entity in this community that has a plan for growth? I would say.
Oh, I hope Kiki isn't listening.
Sorry.
The comprehensive plan is what it's called theoretically.
I withdraw my comment.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, I have thought about what the future holds in terms of, like, is this facility, is it gonna get, do we need additional facilities? But I've looked at the map time and time again, and you're just bumping up against Hayden Library. If you move north, if you move west, you're bumping up against Post Falls. I mean, west isn't really an option. It's,
Then the option becomes.
I mean, sorry,
to merge
west is
with
Post
the
Falls,
county.
east isn't really an option.
Well, we certainly have to have a conversation with the city. I mean, we can't discuss property really in an open meeting. And any changes to property development of the city. But, we need to know what they're thinking, what their long-term goals are. We have discussed this in the past, and there's a lot of information, but it would have to be discussed in, closed meeting.
And we're gonna need, so you're saying you're gonna need a consultant to come in here. Scratch this now, it's not bad. You think? Does someone have the magic answer?
I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
I don't think we've capped out this building. In terms, we're not filled to the brim with people here every day, and it's obvious that we need another facility. And then, of course, we have this wonderful partnership with our area libraries, and the public really don't care which library they go to. It's all part of the same network. And that's what we have. People who live on the north side of town go to Hayden Library. That's their library. People out west will go to Post Falls. That's their library. And
it all works out.
it works out for now. Yeah, it does work. I don't think we're at that conversation about adding another facility.
Has the city maxed out expanding its borders? Yeah, that just occurred to me.
Back however many years ago it was when I was on the council, the estimated infill without expanding city boundaries was 70,000. Just with all the lots, single family lots.
Single family.
And that, I don't think that took into account the number of high rises that are going up in the multi-story building, so.
Well, and I don't think it could ever max out the idea of expanding the borders. Because there's
But we're-
unincorporated Coopee County to the south of us that at some point may want to become part of the city.
The limiting factor is the sewer plant.
Okay.
Well, and all the large agricultural land in front of my house it is now city. It used to be county, but as Kiki said, that in order to build all the homes that they have now approved, that has to become part of the city for the sewer. So they've certainly expanded a lot of potential there.
Yeah. For other new business, I had a question too. Is there any update on the entrance artwork near the children's library?
Not really, no. Right, so we have a concept for an awning out there, which I've shown you before.
Correct.
We did meet with Architects West, to discuss their project, to get their perspective on what's feasible. They thought it was possible with some adjustments, but the thing that really stumped us was the cost of what it would take, which was to their minds around $40,000. And bearing in mind, we only have $10,000 set aside for this project at this time. So I did report to the Arts Commission this yesterday, and so we agreed that we'll put it on hold for the time being and assess where we're at, talk to the donor and see what is possible in the future in terms of fundraising or changing tack a little bit, maybe coming up with a new plan.
Well, and money comes into the Arts Commission, so there's,
Not that much money.
not that- well, okay,
Or they want to give us anyway.
yeah,
Or donate.
right.
They've got a lot of commitment, ongoing
Yes.
commitment, so it's a big chunk.
Good to get your foot in the door though, for some of that.
Is there any other new business?
Yes. So Miss Fay, I understand you have one more board meeting, but I wasn't sure if you were gonna be at the next board meeting, because I couldn't remember when you were going to ban. But this is just a little saying thank you so much for being an amazing trustee.
You're very,
And for long years, I can't believe that.
it was a surprise to me that it was
I
42.
think one of the things that I want to say is you proved it out today, as you always do. Language, drilling deep on what have we done in the past and what are we doing now? And what are some other sources that we would use to reference to pigeonhole exactly the best way to move forward on a document? You've been the queen of document clarification and precision for all the time that I've been on the board, which is 37 years. And I want to say thank you for that. And we all say thank you.
And where did these flowers come from?
That's from your trustees.
Thank you very much. They're beautiful. I'm so glad I drove today.
I was gonna say.
Well, I had a backup plan.
It's been a real pleasure. And I will miss it.
We'll miss you.
Supposed to open this.
So will you be around in September, Faye, or when is, I didn't hear your reply on that.
You know, I'll be here because it's I'm back in town by the 27th. But I'm assuming that if the mayor moves quickly, the new person could come in by the end of the month.
Technically, their term wouldn't start till October 1st.
Oh, okay.
So you still would be in the position, but they would be, if they are appointed, they would be welcome to attend, of course.
Oh, okay.
In fact, it would be nice if they could come and observe one time when they're not having to go over anything. Just
Okay. Then I will plan to be here.
If there's no other business before the Board of Trustees, I will adjourn the meeting, and our next scheduled meeting will be September 27th, 4 p.m. Again, here in the library community room.